back to A Well-Designed Business. My name is Luann Nigara, and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company Window Works from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started.
Hi, welcome to A Well-Designed Business. Today's show is sponsored by Schwartz Design Showroom, and that means I have the pleasure of welcoming Alexis Varbero to the show. Schwartz Design Showroom is one of the most comprehensive, trade-only interior showrooms in the New York tri-state area. It is a family-run business originally started by Alexis's grandfather, Morris Schwartz, in 1947. Alexis' mom took over the company after that, and Alexis, after first spending 10 years in a high-profile career in cosmetics marketing, joined her mother. 9 years ago, Alexis completely took over the company. And since then, not only has she strengthened the reputation her mom had developed with the interior design community, but she has also increased the company's footprint by expanding its Stamford, Connecticut showroom and more recently building a new location in Edison, New Jersey that she lovingly refers to as the mothership of showrooms. Now, I've known Alexis for many years. We're both Jersey girls. And since the day I met Alexis, she has always impressed me as being ahead of the game. She is strategic in her thinking, and she stays on the edge of things by attending trade shows and fashion events from High Point Market to New York Fashion Week. She's always scouring for what's new, what's next, and more importantly, Alexis is conscientious and intentional about deepening her industry relationships. In her own words, Alexis says, "First and foremost, we are your partner and your team." Alexis lives this. Let me introduce you to Alexis so you can learn it for yourself.
Hey, Alexis, thanks so much for joining me on A Well-Designed Business today.
Hey, Luann. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here chatting with you.
Well, it's a long time, lady. Like we haven't
I
seen
know.
each other in a while.
I know.
It's
I
too
miss
long.
you.
I know. I do too. And we have a lot to cover. So
Yes.
I'm going to learn about the new Schwartz Design Showroom, but I also learned today that this is the 75th anniversary of your business being in business. You are third generation, and I just think that is just such an amazing accomplishment. And I want you to just give me a few minutes on what it means to you to be third generation. And then we're going to talk about, what is the Alexis imprint on Schwartz Design Showroom. So let's talk about mom
Yes.
and grandpa a little bit here.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for giving me the opportunity because and for those words, because listen, I look around and longevity in the world we live in these days is not always easy to come by. And I'm so proud of what my grandfather and his brothers built. And actually, when we started, we were furniture, appliances. We sort of sold a little bit of everything. We opened on Armistice Day in 1947 as all the GIs were coming. So it was just a great time. We were started in New Brunswick, New Jersey. So we've always been a New Jersey-based business. And which is amazing, and what has been interesting, I find in my family background is that with each generation, to what you were saying before, has done their own spin. So certainly having my aunt Harriet and her partner Betty Bear take it over in the late 70s, in early 80s. And one of the things that they focused on was taking it from really that retail model of furniture selling to being more design centric. Up until that time, there really weren't a lot of furniture stores that had staff interior designers that went out to your home. And so what they did was really focus again, on that design aspect. My mother came into the business a couple of years later, and one of the things she very quickly did was build this wonderful reputation with the interior design community. And at that point, really there's only New York City, and interior designers would go into New York City. It was such a different landscape than it is today. And so, my mother added her, her point of view and was able to layer in her experiences and her relationships. And when my aunt my aunt's actually 10 years older than my mother. So when she was ready to retire, my mother said, well, I'm young. My sister was still in college. She's like, I'm a single mom. I have, I got to pay tuition, and so she looked at it and said, this is the opportunity to really take what I have developed over the last 15 years and make it a whole business, and that becoming trade only. And so we've been trade only for 25 years. So she transitioned the business into trade only. And again, at that time for furniture, there was really no other business in New Jersey that was strictly to the trade when it came to furniture. And I was so lucky in that I always knew that I had a family business that I was so interested in and that I wanted to go into, but I was really committed to doing something before so that I could bring something into the business. Like I said before, each family member had brought a different layer. And so I spent almost 10 years in cosmetics marketing and doing all of that before coming into our family business and, and then kind of having it really build from that point forward. And that was almost 20 years ago. Like I was saying, so my son, which I hate, 19. So when he was born, thus became my world of, working as a trade only showroom. And, I was lucky. I got to work for my mom for 10 years, meaning like answering the phones. Hello, Schwartz Design Showroom, checking acknowledgement, checking orders. I really wanted to learn the business from the ground up so that I could understand every aspect of it. And, so then when I was able to then buy the business, which was 9 years ago, I felt very confident that I had enough of an apprenticeship, as I should say, working for my mom and learning the business. And so, it's been 9 years since she has been, retired and out. And this is now moving into the next generation of Schwartz Design Showrooms. And it's very exciting.
It is. And I love, I love that you had the 10 years experience outside of the business, not required, lots of people come right in, but I think it probably that combined with the fact that you have done each of the different jobs within Schwartz Design Showroom, that it makes you, I'm sure, well, I've always known you to be an incredible business leader, really savvy businesswoman. It's the truth. From the very first conversation that we ever had, I remember thinking, whoa. And what's so funny is, here's what's crazy is, what I also remember is way years before I ever met you, years before I ever even had the germ of an idea of a podcast, was I would see you and your mom in the ads in the Design New Jersey magazine.
Yes. Oh, God.
When they're sitting on the chair and you're sitting on the arm of the chair.
It was like our portraits, splashed across like Design NJ. I mean, oh my God.
Exactly.
Yes.
And the thing is, it was, by the way, they were effective because you stopped at them and you really did notice it wasn't just a furniture ad or design showroom ad. It was like, family business, you stopped at it. And I remember when one of the very first times I had an opportunity to speak to you, I was like, oh, there is a business brain in this head. I was like very impressed.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. And I think you're 100% right. I mean, people used to say to me, 15 years ago, oh, you and your mom are partners and blah, blah, blah. I'd be at ASID trade shows or whatever. And I'd say, no, I work for her. She's my boss. There was a very distinct separation of what she did and what I did. And again, learning, like you said, every facet of the business, and listen, you learn so much by even answering a phone.
Oh, that's the number one way to learn about what's going on in the business.
Exactly. And, and I was able to really develop and going back to what you said about having our faces on the ad, it was something somebody told us to do it and we were like, that's crazy. What do you mean? And what it did was it showed that we were people.
That's right.
And that
Personalized it, right?
we personalized it. We are a women-owned business. We are a family business, to your point, with like a generational component. It was able to really communicate all of those things. Maybe the fashion didn't stick, too well. It's, but certainly the concept and what we wanted it to achieve, it achieved. And that was the first time we had ever done that. I mean, that was before, I think we had just launched our website. I mean, which seems like a different
I don't
world.
remember how many years ago, but I know it's a lot.
A long time
It's probably
ago.
from the beginning, like within however many years of you joining the business, 20 years ago.
20 years ago. Yep.
Yeah, it just, but it set you apart. It was like branding before we knew what branding meant, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I will say this too, like I was saying, knowing your roles. And it was funny on the reverse when my mother, after, she was supposed to stay on for a year, after a few months was like, oh, you don't need me. Like, this is, it's time for you to roll and shine. But always knowing that I had her support. And
just a phone call away.
Phone call away. It was like, remember that show? What was it? Like, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? You could call in.
Oh yeah, Lifeline.
What's your lifeline? So, just knowing that I had that. I mean, no matter what your business is, to know that you have support, it's such a great feeling, and it really gives you the ability to thrive.
Yes. And the thing is, two things I want to make a point in there is, number one, your mom having the wisdom to recognize that you were ready to fly, and that maybe there was an agreement to work in the business for a year, but after 4 months, that beyond the phone calls that might come up, that you were ready to fly. And that's a tough thing. We just went through transition at Window Works. And I will tell you that Vinny struggled with that in the first year.
Oh, yeah.
Of just, because watching people do things differently than he would do them and stuff like that. And now we're in our third year of the transition process. Yeah. And now it's the opposite. Now we're like, well, you can't go just yet. Hang on. Stop putting one foot out the door.
Right.
There's certain things we haven't taught them.
Yes.
So I just commend your mother for recognizing the time when it was right. And then the other thing that I wanted to say about what you said is knowing that the support team is there, and you mentioned how important that is. And it occurs to me that that is your role at Schwartz Design Showroom for the interior designer. That's literally the role you function in for them. You are their support team. You pick up all the things and cover all the bases when it comes to, this
everything.
Complicated business, right?
1,000%.
Yeah.
Yep.
So talk about that, because that's important to talk about.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I've been seeing in the industry, and has certainly been, how it's transitioned before, everyone is talking, pre-pandemic, pandemic, post-pandemic. So, I don't want to sit here and talk, because who wants to talk about it anymore? Nobody does. However, like, it has certainly been, it was such a, I don't even know the word for it in our industry. Listen, we were so lucky that there were so many other industries that were decimated, and our industry really benefited. And in the beginning, I had so many friends with restaurants and businesses and all. I had so much guilt, and I just kept thinking, oh my gosh. And once I learned how to turn that into gratitude and just say, okay, guilt is not a function that makes me feel good. It makes my business run smoother, or helps a friend, or does anything. But what it really did show me was how important the community was. And, we saw it all with our local restaurant. You wanted to have, to reach out and to support and to be a part of those local businesses, because you realize how important they are to your life, but you don't always realize it until it's gone. And I think we're similar. We are a local neighborhood showroom, but what's been interesting is that over the past 4 years, we have clients who are our designers all over the country. And they come to us from various ways, but once they understand how we can affect their business, they go, oh my God, like, I wish I knew about you guys 3 years ago, before I,
Right.
bought into this software thing, before I did XYZ. And my rebuttal is always like, everything happens when it's supposed to happen and comes in due time. And that's for sure. I always say that there's a design duo out of Marblehead, Massachusetts that I love, that I work with, who've actually come to our Edison, New Jersey location, and they've spent the night. And when I first met I first was talking to them. It was like an hour-long phone call, and I was telling them everything, how we are involved, and blah, blah. And they both we paused and they said, "So what's your fee? What do you charge us?" And I went, "What? No. This is what we want to do. Like this, when we support you, you grow. As you grow, we want to be a part of that growth. We're not going to be your everything. We want to be just a part of your vendor portfolio, but we want to be the people who are there supporting you, whether it's that phone call, whatever the case may be, with all of your back end needs." I mean, just a little bit, just to step back as to what we do. My team is everything. People ask me, "Alexis, what's your secret sauce?" And I always say, I guess it's been my ability to really hire the best people that are in our industry. I can say amongst all of our 3 different locations, we have hundreds of years of experience. And I don't take that lightly. I want to build a team, and part of why I think we're successful, well, I know why, is because of that team. And my team understands my mission and what our values are and how we can best apply our mission and our values to help our clients grow. Whether it's advisory, I mean, I just sat with a new client and she's texting me and she goes, can I just bring the plans, and can you look over the electrical and make sure that I have outlets and everything? I mean, and this is someone who's been in the industry forever. She's just like, "I've been looking at this for so long." I said, "Absolutely, bring it in." Now, I don't sell sockets,
Right.
I
I'm
don't,
like, wait,
yeah.
you're looking at her
Yeah.
electrical plan?
Yes. I'm going through the electrical plan. I mean, and 2 hours later, she's like, "Oh my God." She's like, "And I'm so sorry. I said, "Don't ever apologize." I said, "First of all, I love it. I want people to see us as, whatever their needs are, and whether it's advisory, whether you need us to sort of do all of your back end work, so that you're not spending time making countless phone calls to different manufacturers. We are lucky, just going back to that 75 years of being in business, we've had relationships with some of our manufacturers, Luann, for 40 plus years at this point,
Yes.
generations of people who are now leading companies and who are in charge. We've kind of grown up together, and I know that I can get on the phone and I can work with my manufacturers in any capacity, to support our clients. So, just always knowing what it is our clients need. We have some designers who sort of say, "I need, a million pages of things quoted." I mean, we represent 175 different manufacturers. I don't really know anybody else who is able to kind of have everybody under one roof. Again, that goes back to just our history that we have had, and our great relationships with these manufacturing partners. So we are so efficient in how we can, quote, how we can problem shoot, how we can make it happen in a way that gives time for our clients to spend time designing and actually growing their business, versus just sort of spending so much time on that back end.
So if we run through it, basically what happens is that designers, for the most part, do not have stocking dealer prices and things like that, right? And unless you're going to do the same thing, open up a showroom and all the things. And so to come to Schwartz Design Showroom, what it is it's I've evolved in my business enough to know that I'm not going out onto the highway to buy furniture at 10% off retail for my clients, right? But I also either don't have the contacts, B, don't have the volume, or C, don't maybe have the information or education to understand
because a list, if you're relatively new in design or just new to specifying furniture, because maybe you've done specialize in renovations in
Sure.
kitchen and bath, and now you're going to branch out and you're going to sell furniture. It's, you can't just look at the list of the people at High Point Market and say, okay, you have to know. And that's
Right.
where the help and the support comes in at Schwartz Design Showroom, because someone could come in and say, this is sort of the furnishings budget. These are the types of rooms that I need to outfit. And then you guys just mentally calculate and say, okay, so we're going to probably want to be in these manufacturers
Absolutely.
for this room, right? Exactly.
Well, here's the thing, just going back to even, so just about pricing. So one of the things that I have, and it's been my mantra, is we're transparent, transparent, transparent. To me, I'm a business to business. So in order for me to have a deep relationship and for us to have deep relationships with our clients, they need to understand how we make our money and why we price the way we do. And we work like every other showroom, whether it's a New York showroom, whether it's another trade only showroom. And that is, and again, transparent as it can be. If in our industry standard is, when you talk like it's a 3 times mark, we are 50 off. And designers, it's so funny because they'll come into the showroom and they'll be like, wait a second. And I'll say, yes. So, this sofa, if it costs $1,000, it retails for $3, then we sell it to you for $1,500. They're like, it's that simple? I'm like, it is that simple. So we immediately, especially when somebody new is coming in, we want to be building our relationship right from the beginning. And we feel very much that it's important that they understand that. We are also, and I don't know if this is unique to us or others, but I always say to designers, and as do my team, you have relationships. Listen, if you buy a line and you buy it at stock and dealer because your mom was a designer and you got grandfathered in or blah, blah, great. But you know what? Absolutely. There's a lot of other lines that I'd love to be able to offer you and then to your clients. So there's a wide, vast world out there, and I mean, so much so where I've had designers in Connecticut, New Jersey, wherever, who'll say, oh my God, I buy so-and-so direct, but I just have to run in and see this fabric. Do you mind? No, because you're being honest with me and with us.
Right.
Absolutely not. Because you know why? In the big picture, we're supporting you. We're supporting you. It's not about that sale. It's about we're building this bigger, deeper relationship.
Yes.
So we're buying it at a stock and dealer. And a lot of times some of our newer designers will say, well, I buy it direct from so-and-so in the New York, at 200 Lux or wherever it could be, whatever design showroom. And I'll say, babe, you're buying it at Designer Net. No matter what, unless, to your point, unless you have a certain minimum and you have, the business that you're doing, you're buying it at Designer Net. And possibly because of the tiered situations, you could be maybe saving 5 or 10%. So when you look at it, once you kind of understand the services that we provide, is that 5 or 10% worth it? Right. And that's for each designer to also
decide themselves.
Exactly. Listen, there's a lot of designers who have incredible firms. I'm friendly with a lot of them. I'm like, oh, they're incredible. They don't need our services all of the time. Right. And, and they love to call us and be like, oh, we're so happy to do some business with you. We've got this client, blah, blah, blah. And I actually appreciate that so much. It means the world to me.
And so just so I clarify, what's happening in there is that when you, as a designer, go direct to a furniture showroom in 200 Lex or wherever it might be, and you get Designer Net, what you're describing is it's entirely possible that that Designer Net price may end up being 5% or 10% lower than the price you would charge the designer.
You know what?
However,
it's actually the same time. No, it's the same price.
Oh.
Same.
Okay.
Same.
It's the same.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. And then, but the thing is, I want to make sure I understand the distinction. The difference when I order direct from that manufacturer's showroom is I'm doing all the legwork.
Correct.
I'm filling out the order with them. I'm calling them to make sure that they got it. I'm calling them to look for the confirmation order. I'm calling them to see what the status is. I'm calling them to say that it arrived. Did it get to the warehouse?
The warehouse. Yep.
And then when it gets to my client, yes, I'm calling them to say, 2 legs were broken. Whereas if I order that through you, I give you one order and I just speak to you when you give me updates.
Absolutely.
do any of that checking.
You don't. Exactly. That's exactly right. You could have one order that has 25 different manufacturers on it. And what you will get from us is we do Google Docs where we're literally sending order status, whether it's a whole house by room. So everything is, it is tracked every 7 to 10 days. So that is our process. And we have built out a staff that literally that is what they do. So they're constantly calling. And to your point about just checking, et cetera, because we do have these relationships, we're getting the callbacks. We are getting the emails back. You know,
they're not going to ignore you.
They're not ignoring us.
Not if they know.
Because also here's the other part of it is that they actually don't want to deal.
Right. They would rather deal with you as a
much rather
professional.
deal because they know how we operate at this point. You know, they know we come from, you know, we have integrity. We come from an honest place where we actually do what we say. And a lot of times I say this to new designers, whether it's putting our money where our mouth is, when we say we are going to do something, it is done. I mean, we were, as everybody was pivoting, but we were running our own trucks down to North Carolina. I was purchasing furniture to loan out to people. You know, wherever we could make an impact and go the extra mile, it was never a question. And most importantly, Luann, I do feel like my team, they are empowered to make all of those decisions for their clients, that they work with. Nobody's like, well, I need to talk to Alexis because I need to see if I can expedite freight that. No. It is done. And to your point of all that phone call and all that legwork that you are doing, quite frankly, we do that in 15 minutes. You know, it's just much more expeditious. You know, that's why we're experts at doing what we do. And then designers can be experts at what they do. You know, we really want to make sure that we leave them the time to be able to focus on their business and on their clients.
So I what I love about all of this is that you mentioned in there, and we went by it a little quickly, but I want to go back to it, is that we all experienced in the COVID era here of not getting phone calls back and not getting statuses. I mean, for me, there was one vendor in the window treatment industry that so dramatically dropped the ball during COVID. And I get that everybody had people remote working and all the things, but it's so after 8 or 9 months, it sort of was like, I'm sorry. You know, we all had to figure this out.
Yes.
Like, get somebody to answer your phone.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, figure it out. Call, forward it to your wife, buddy. I don't care.
Right.
You know, have your dog answer the phone.
Exactly.
Right? And so, but even without a COVID situation, what happens is a company like Schwartz Design Showroom, their relationships with whether it be Kravet or it be whoever it be, you know, Curry and Co., who I don't know the darn names, you know what I'm saying? J-Poor Living, right? Like that relationship, those companies value the relationship with the designer. I know that to be
Absolutely.
true. But you are their direct, like bread and butter, coming back every month.
Right.
Every year for orders.
And we're their conduit. I mean, so we really fulfill that circle. Right. You know, and our best relationships are the relationships that we have with the manufacturers to the reps to the client, so that we're continuously, the important thing is we're supporting the designer. And I think you're 100% right. They 100% value the designer, and it's important.
Yeah. Yep. And but the thing is, it's like, you know, it's funny because I have the different fabric reps at Window Works and so forth. And, you know, I always say to them, look, we don't have to have lunch. In fact, I don't want to have lunch. I don't want to look at all the pretty samples. Just drop them off. It's good. Here's the only thing. When I call, you call me back. That's all I care about.
No.
And if I call, because here's the thing, I'm not going to call and say, how was your day? I'm going to call you because I have a problem. And if you don't call me back within 24 hours when I have a problem, I will not place any more orders with you. It's not going to happen. And so that's what I love, is that an interior designer at that level of business has enough to do. And these vendors and manufacturers, the system is built for them to support you and
Yes.
it's not a hard conversation.
No.
You're not going to lose your mind if they tell you it's back ordered again,
Right.
because it's business.
We know
You
how
just
to
need the
facilitate it.
information.
Correct.
Yes.
And again, too, we were talking about pricing before. I think so much has been just pricing, whether it's, different platforms or whatever, as that being the most important thing. And I think that was a build up to COVID. And I absolutely think, again, coming out of it, to your point, it's relationship. And it's not that the manufacturers don't care about the individual designer. They do. They just feel that the best way for them to service the designer are through showroom partnerships. And
Yes,
that's what it's about.
It's not the typical business
Exactly.
model.
Like I always loved, this is one of my favorite phone calls. We'll get a call from a designer and they'll say, oh, the rep kicked us back and we can't buy it direct. And, we have to buy it through you. And, they're agitated because in their mind, it's just not going to plan. And so like we just kind of love those calls, because 9.5 times out of 10, they get off going, oh my gosh, I can't wait to do more business with you.
So much easier.
Yeah, you're going to make my life so much easier. You are going to help me with those clients. I know right now I have amazing clients and I'm in control and I've been doing this for 25 years, but you know what? I could have a client that I don't have control, that I'm going to need a partner with, that I'm going to need to bring in to sit, to touch, to feel. And I'm going to want a partner who is going to help educate my client in the most effective way, and who is going to help me, and who is going to be there to support me. And it's been amazing to watch those relationships grow. And, even in New Jersey, it's interesting. We've talked about, we've been here for 75 years, and during COVID, I sort of said, oh, we're well established in New Jersey. I kind of thought all of our growth will come from Connecticut and Westchester. And when I tell you, we probably grew our client base by 30%. And it was New Jersey designers who were like, God, we never knew you existed. We just got on that train, or, we were all in our lanes. And to me, it was like, first of all, I was like, oh, maybe those ads didn't reach all the people that they should have. But, we all just get in a lane and we're all kind of just going along until something shifts us, and certainly the COVID for us was that shifting moment. And it gave us an opportunity to really show, instead of just talking about what we do, we were able to show how we supported. And it's fun. It's not funny. It's very interesting to me. And listen, there have been some hard phone calls, right? There have been some bad times, and we've all had it. Designers have had it. I've had designers crying and calling, and we've had to put those hard phone calls in. And at the end of the day, I've always said to each and every designer, we have your back. You are never alone. You're never going to be on, if that customer says, you know what, I don't want that, blah, blah, blah. I promise you, you're never alone. And
you'll help them figure it out.
We will figure it out. There is always a solution. And I love that our clients will look to us to be sort of that solution-based showroom. We're not like sitting here and selling you a sofa. We want the relationship. We want to help you solve problems. We want, to sit there, talk to us about your marketing. We want to be that community where you come in, let's get lunch off the cuff. Nothing out there as an event, but like, oh, wait, there's 5 people in the showroom. Let's just throw down the lunch and talk about, like, do a little round table. Those are like meaningful moments where people walk away and they say, wow, like being here and having that community does add value to my business and to me. I know that I'm feeling it from my manufacturers, the ones who have gone above and beyond to step up, to support us, to then support our clients. You know what I mean? So it's a complete circle. It's been that, which has been really an amazing thing to sort of be a part of.
And so when somebody works with Schwartz Design Showroom, I'm going to make some assumptions, and you clear me up if anything is off the mark. It's not a situation where it's about minimums. It's
correct.
That's right. Okay,
yep,
so
that's a good point.
I could come in and I could have one one room in a home that I need 5 pieces for, or I could come in and I can have a 6,000 square foot home where I'm going to need $500,000 worth of furniture,
Correct.
and I can find rugs, lighting, accessories,
Yep.
furniture,
Fabric,
fabric,
wallpaper, all of it,
all of
all
it.
of it. And
Yeah,
here's the other thing, you will have the same level of service. Again, that
right.
is one thing when I am vetting and interviewing potential new team members. It is all about putting your 100% in all of the time. And,
Mm.
I've had over the past 20 years where people came in and said, "Oh, I just have to replace a sofa. Is that okay?"
Mhm.
To your point,
Yes, right.
yes, let's do it. Let's kill it. Let's make this client so happy. You never know, that client could then buy a beach house into you. And I've seen this happen, where you have to put into every relationship, you know, what you envision getting out of it, right? Like, and so for us, you can come in, you can purchase one sofa, you could purchase a room, we love it. People are like, well, we had chairs that we already specified. Is it okay? We're like, oh, of course. Just make sure that if we're building a custom table, give us the specs so that we can do a proper CAD, a seating CAD. I like to make sure that all of your chairs can, easily move around. And they're like, what? Really? I'm like,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
They're like, wait, what's a seating CAD? I mean, like, people are like, oh, I didn't even think about that. And so I think it also just comes from a very honest, authentic point. And I do know that people, whether we work, and again, we work some people totally remote, some people on the phone, they see it from the beginning with us, and things go wrong, right? Like we were saying before, like part of what we do in the service we provide, it's going to happen. The SHIT, it's going to
Yeah,
happen. Okay. We work in
yeah,
an
yeah.
industry with too many details, and we're talking about fine furniture that is handcrafted most times, and so
Yes.
things are, that sofa is going to come in, it's going to have a broken leg, but we're figuring it out. Is it built into the frame? Can we screw it in? Do we have to send back another one to match it? All of that forward thinking is happening on your behalf. We
Right.
we are that part of your team that's thinking about all of those what ifs to give you peace
Mhm.
of mind. You know,
Right, and
yes.
so like you said earlier, you could go back to designing,
Yes.
right?
Yes. And I
Yes.
mean, we've had people who are like, God, we have so much furniture. And I'll say, well, let's talk about maybe some additional insurance that you should be taking out so you could sleep at night. Like, these are all of the things more in that advisory role that, again, there are some clients who love to pick our brains and want to talk to, whether it's me or to another team member about. We love having those conversations, and in our
Mhm.
experience and working in different states, etc., we're able to share real life experiences that we have had and what we have seen. And when you're working with, whether it's $5,000, $10,000, $500,000, that's real money of your clients that they're entrusting
Right.
with you, and you want to make
Mhm.
sure that you as a designer are working with the best team possible. It's sort of like, you're not going to send in the crappy painter, right? No.
Right,
So
right.
what,
Yep,
you're not going to be like,
100%.
you know what, I'm going to save $50 here, and this painter who doesn't, cut his edges and, whatever. No, no. And
Right,
so it's a very similar, we're part of that team, and you want the best team that you can build
right.
that's going to support your business for growth.
How does a designer work with you if they're not in New
Hmm.
Jersey? Because I do know you handle designers across the
Yes,
US. So what does that work
absolutely.
like?
So a lot of times we've been starting off even from DMs on Instagram, which has been exciting. So we'll start
Hmm.
that way. We typically always do a phone call. And we have a number of team members who can facilitate just talking them through how we work, what our procedures are. We always follow that up with a packet of new designer information packet that we call, that explains every point of our business, and how we
Mm.
operate and facilitate, down to what happens if something goes wrong, if there is a damage. What if, you order this, the designer orders the COM on their own and it comes in and that's damaged, but it wasn't ordered through. Like, we really take that time so that the designer understands everything that we do. we've been FaceTiming. We'll do FaceTimes, we'll do Zooms, you name it. And then it really becomes a relationship, much like a lot of other people, like, we're emailing, we're going back and forth. And I will say FaceTime has been like a game changer, I feel like. It really has.
And is it that they are, so that they understand the quality of what they're ordering, they're either visiting Las Vegas market or High Point market to see the product and the different things, and then they're saying, hey, I know that I want this, century
Right.
furniture, yada yada. Is that how that happens, like that?
Yes.
Because they're not coming to New
Right.
Jersey. It's just that they have to have familiarity with the lines that they want. And it's just a matter of choosing your team as the place to execute the order and to take care of it.
Which is why I think a lot comes through
Okay.
Instagram, just because I think, we've really tried to organically grow our base, so if I look at who follows us, it's like 96% interior designers and architects,
Right.
which I'm sort of like, I'll say to my amazing partner who handles all of our PR and marketing. She's like, I know, I'm just trying to get it to that 10,000. I'm like, ow, it's fine. We have a really incredible, I'm like, hey,
500 of the people who are your potential clients.
We're
is
talking
amazing.
to these people and they're responding. And that's the most important thing.
Yeah. 10,000 people that don't need
that
what you're
doesn't
selling,
help.
it doesn't matter.
It's not meaningful. But, we are constantly, I am constantly trying to find those manufacturing partners that are doing something different, doing something unique. We're adding people we do a lot of marketing campaigns, whether it's a new vendor spotlight that we do those on Instagram, which has really been interesting. And it's really resonated. I'll give you an example. There's a wonderful line out of Colombia called Jameco that I just love. It's a young husband and wife whose parents were also in this industry forever, and they just build such a unique product. We are doing a project in Jackson Hole, and basically the designer saw on Instagram and fell in love with the product and reached out to us. And and a lot of it is a lot of back and forth too in terms of sampling. So we're buying those samples because a lot of the companies are not big enough. We're not cutting it. You have to be able to see and touch something at that level. Like when you're talking about using a parchment top dining table, let's say and it's going to be, a $15,000 net table. Your client's got to see a sample. Okay. Like I wouldn't be comfortable selling somebody and just click buy. That's part of the process, and that process could take 2 months of back and forth and going through and modifying, like I was saying before, like if you're working on a dining table and saying, oh, what are the chairs that you're using? Oh, those chairs are 26 inches deep. Maybe we should modify that base because you're really not going to be able to fit 12 at this table,
Right. And is that the thing where if you are using one of these online furniture places now, without naming names, because I don't want to get into that sort of, that's missing at that level. It's like you place the order, that's it. There's no sampling of that $15,000
exactly
table.
And I mean, again, not mentioning any names, I get a lot of these email marketing campaigns from these places, right?
Sure.
And so I had a real oh my God moment probably 2 weeks ago. It was right before right after the new year actually. And I opened up one of these emails and it said, again, not mentioning names, blah, blah, so-and-so, here is what we're not. They highlight, we don't need to sample. We don't need to have showroom pieces. We don't have to spend time. So you get the best price. And I'm thinking, this to me says you don't know anything about design. You don't know anything about how to best support a designer. And yet it is. And
well, what it strikes me is look, and this is not a debate on if that business model is valid or not. This is about Schwartz Design Showroom and what you do and what you bring to it and your personal beliefs. And like you said, your mission and vision for your company. And you have it clearly identified as the strong leader that you are. You have enunciated that to your team and everyone exemplifies it to your client. And so that is what that is. Sure. Okay. But what's interesting is I have not had an at-length conversation with someone that owns or operates one of those places that makes advertisements like that. So I'm, in the space of I don't know what I don't
Absolutely.
know.
Yeah.
But I will tell you that what the first thing I just heard there is interestingly, when I do have conversations, whether it's on the show or in real life, with designers who are concerned about the consumer, shopping online and retail, and they're competing with all
Sure.
of that. What I always say to them is, well, that's only true if you are a commodity
Absolutely.
salesperson. If you are a commodity salesperson where you are perceived by your consumer as the place to buy a piece of furniture, as opposed to the creative
Yes.
whose intellectual
Yep.
property is going to design the combination of furniture, then yes, you are going to struggle and compete with within that lane. And so I always say to them, get
Yes.
out of that lane.
Yep.
Go higher. You offer intellectual design, intellectual property, you offer services and all the things that have nothing to do with the
Yes.
sofa. And what's so interesting is that's the first time I heard it there. They are taking the interior design industry and commoditizing it.
Exactly.
And
Yep.
literally taking it to, like, they are taking all of the service and the value out of what companies like yours deliver into it. And what's interesting is, to your point, they actually advertise that they take
I was just going to say that. The best part is, like, that's their slogan.
They
Okay.
tell
It's
you.
like literally you click on it and that's the first thing that pops up. And again, it's
Right.
it's just so clear. If I'm an interior designer, I would look at that and I say, they don't understand one thing about this industry, because how can I be in this space? And I would also just say this too. And one of the reasons I've loved over the years, speaking with you and learning from you, I think we're such an original voice in actually saying that to designers. And I appreciate it so much, because
well, I thank you, because I feel like
you
I've
have.
been saying it
Yes.
forever. Like,
Yes.
stop. You're not
Right.
furniture
And
salesmen.
guess what?
You know
There
what
are
I'm saying?
customers, there are clients who are furniture store retail quote unquote people. Those are not design clients. And so designers have to also understand their clients and know, right, is this a design client? Is this more of a retail based client? And that's a whole nother conversation. Then that's like, yeah.
Well, and it's funny because I just had that conversation recently with Kelly Burke, and you have to listen to it, because she slices it right down the middle and tells it exactly the way it is. And it's really good. But what's interesting to me is, when I compare that analogy of the designer who is concerned and frightened that the internet is stealing their customers, and say to them, no, that's not your customer. The person who is shopping for the lowest price, that's not your customer. That's somebody who wants to use you as an order taker and as a conduit to furniture, not use your creative abilities. What's interesting is the more sophisticated the designer is, and I mean in business experience, business chops, as you go through the seasons of your business, some people get there in 2 years, and some people get there in 22 years, right? So there's no set number of years that you have to be in business in order to get this. But I've learned through the conversations that when you get it intellectually yourself as a designer, that, oh, this is my unique selling proposition. It is all of the intellectual property I bring to this, and not the actual sofa. What's interesting is the more sophisticated you are as a business person, the more you don't care about that. And what's crazy is, the designer who is going to be more often lured to a service that does not provide samples, that does not provide service, that does not do all of those things, is typically, unfortunately, the same designer that hasn't made that transition for themselves.
Yes,
either
I say that all of the time. I say to people,
they're struggling to get to the lowest price, and so they're going to the
same
lowest
thing that
price.
applies to a designer and how they build their relationships with their client is exactly how we are. And, you just said it perfectly. Who is providing you the support? When you're a designer, like, you're doing the creative.
You need it the most in the beginning
exactly.
of your business. And listen, I got a million friends and colleagues. I'm thinking of Tracy
Hmm.
Connell, Jennifer Stoner, like these women that run big businesses and they have nice teams, and
Yep.
Sandra Funk, right? And they know what they're doing. If they go on and do something through one of these services, it's not because they're doing it to race to the bottom of the price point. It's because it works for that moment, for that client, for that
Exactly.
model, whatever it is.
Exactly.
It is not their
No.
core business. They're not doing everything there. But that's the thing. It's kind of like the business person that doesn't quite grasp the full context of what their
Hmm.
offering is gets sucked into thinking the race to the
Right.
price
Well,
is the
my mother
thing.
always said the race to the bottom gets you nowhere. And that's why
Yeah.
we've
Yeah.
always never made it about price.
Right.
I
It's
always said
about
too,
all
I'm
the
not,
other
I'm,
things.
I want to build out that best team that I can. I want to be
Mhm.
able to provide all of those services. Just like any other business, we have to have a margin. And it has
Right.
to be of value to our client who is looking for that. And like I said, we have a lot of clients who do have very large businesses. And I can think of one in particular who, came to us because, a year ago had a project and was like, oh my God, for the first time in 15 years, I'm being shopped and I'm being whatever. And I don't even know how to handle it. And we ended up
Mm.
doing an entire home with this incredible designer.
Mhm.
And she literally said, you know what? I could not have done that without you guys. And this is
Mhm.
somebody who has been in business for a long, long time, who does, listen, incredible work, but finds
Yeah.
value whether it's by client. That's why I think I said earlier, it's like, I love the designers who say, oh gosh, I've been meaning to come in, but I buy things direct, blah, 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 but I have this one situation. Oh my gosh, great.
Mhm.
What's the
Yeah, come
situation?
on in.
Sit
Right.
down.
Yeah.
Tell me about it. What can
Right.
we do? What can we, put all of our heads together with and help you.
Mhm.
And that's where it
Yeah.
comes from. That's why, like, again, it's relationship. It's the same with
Yeah.
designers as they are vetting out their clients. And again, there are some designers. There's so many amazing design firms who don't need the services that a Schwartz Design Showroom
Mm.
provides, or what they think, like I said before. But you never know when you're in that situation. And that's why it is great to just always have good relationships. And again, that
Right.
kind of goes back to what you learn in kindergarten. I mean, just be good. Just be good to people. Be honest, because you never know. You never
Right.
know when
Right.
when
Right.
something's going to come
Yeah.
back, or when you need to call up that lifeline, right? And that's life.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's funny because I want to
Hmm.
wrap this up by telling you something, and I'm sure you don't remember it.
Uh-oh.
No,
Was it
no,
High
no, no.
Point with
You,
drinks involved? Oh, all
no,
right
no,
then.
no, no,
All
no,
right.
no, no, no. um, your core message here is relationships. Your core message here is the relationships that Schwartz Design Showroom has with their vendors, and how you pass that benefit on to the clients of Schwartz Design Showroom, and how that you take very personally this mission to be a resource and to be a partner and to be a
Yes.
human person to your team and to your clients. And it's so funny because I was looking today. Um, I went to we had a
Hmm.
little tech
Yes.
break. And so right.
Shocker.
And so I went to my
Between
phone.
the
Well,
two of
well,
us, yeah.
between the two of us, please. Right. Yeah. I went to my phone to go text you. And what happened was I flipped up as I was waiting for you, and I'm looking for it now. I'm sure don't remember this, but this is me telling everyone how you truly are a woman of relationships. March 26,
Oh
2020.
my God.
That is 6 days
Right.
after the pandemic, after the close down. And here's the text I get. Hey, Lou, I'm thinking of you. How are you guys holding up? This is crazy, isn't it?
I don't, right.
And
Oh, well, thank you
I
for
mean, my
sharing that.
thing
Yeah.
is what,
Yeah.
yeah, because Alexis, here's the thing. I need to say this part. We might communicate by text
Yes.
once a
Yeah.
year. like once, we're not like,
Yeah.
every week we get along, we're copacetic. But for you to reach out to me in that moment, I just was like,
Oh,
whoa, that's amazing. And what I said to myself is, I'll
mhm.
bet she is sending that same message to
Yes.
lots of
Yeah.
her designer clients and
They're
making
okay.
sure they know that she's there if
Yeah.
they need help.
Well,
And
thank
so
you.
I just want to say you're the real deal with the relationship conversation. It's not a bunch of, hoo-ha for
Thank
the
you.
podcast.
Thank you for sharing that story. It like really warms my heart, and I thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. No, I mean, I scrolled
Oh,
up. I was like, oh my God, this kid reached out. I really couldn't believe it. And of course, at that
we were
moment, we
like,
were
what
all
the?
freaked.
Right.
We didn't know yet. We didn't
No.
know yet that we were going to be on the good end of it, right? You
Absolutely.
have a big business
Yes.
like we do. And we were like,
Oh my
OMG.
God. That could be a whole nother podcast. I know.
That's right. That's right. And then it was like, it took about 5 or 6 weeks. And then all of a sudden it was
Right,
OMG a different way,
right, and
like
how
we're
do we then
swamped,
handle that?
right?
Well, I just have to say,
Yeah.
even in that moment, one of the things, and we talk about like, how you invest in your business yourself, and I've been always a big believer in infrastructure, and that meant building out my team so that if somebody came in, they were always
Mm,
supported or greeted and helped. But one of the things that became crucial is going back to that team. So our computer engineer, who has like, I could actually cry because without him, we wouldn't have had a business. He had said to me
mm,
probably 2 years before everything went down, you've got to move to the cloud,
mm,
blah, 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 blah. And honest to God, he's like, this is going to be $15,000, $16,000. And I was like, oh my God. At
mm.
that point, Luann, I literally
That's
was like,
crazy, right? You
I
thought it
don't
was
know that I can
crazy.
afford it. And he was like, listen, you can't afford not to. And when everything went down, I called him up in tears, and
Oh
I
my God.
literally, I said, it is because of you that we are literally all running this business like in our pajamas from our kitchen tables and still
Right.
able to,
That's the
to
truth.
continue our mission and move it on. But none of it would have been possible without this team and without trust in others. And again, that's just another anecdotal story of
It's so
it's just
true.
so important. All of it.
I'm so glad, and that just goes to show again your acumen as a
Thank you.
business leader, because there's a lot of people like 16 grand is a lot for something that you don't really
Right.
feel is
Yeah.
necessary, right? It's hard to get in touch with that as a
It's like an
realistically,
invisible
I
thing.
need
You're
to
like,
do
in the
this.
cloud. What the
Yes.
hell? What the cloud?
Right. It's like when
Yes.
your refrigerator
Ugh.
breaks, you're like,
Right.
"Ah, darn it, who wants to
Right.
spend money on
Right.
that?" Right? Um, but that is your, that is you rising as a leader
Yeah.
and just saying, "Okay, I have good, strong, intelligent people on
Yep.
my team for a reason. When they give me good, valid,
Listen.
suggestions, I have
Listen.
to
Open
listen,"
yourself
right?
up.
So
Totally.
yeah,
All right.
absolutely. Well, I have to tell you, you are a rock
Ugh,
star. I love
love
your
you.
guts. I really do. I appreciate you so much. And I just, tell everybody how to reach Schwartz Design Showroom. Of course, we'll
Yep.
put links in the show
So
notes and all the
please go
things.
check out our website. It is Schwartz, SCHWARTZ, designshowroom.com. You can reach out to us that way. My email is ALEXIS at Schwartz Design Showroom. Please email me, reach out to me. I can then put you in touch with all of our team members. DM us on Instagram. Our handle is
Mm.
Schwartz Design Showroom. Call us, email, smoke signals. We're we're here. We're ready, and I'm so excited about what the possibilities of 2023 are going to bring. There's always going to be the challenges,
Mm.
but it's going to be a great year, and it's going to be a good one.
Yeah.
And thank you.
Yeah. Well, you're such a positive human soul. And I just, you always are creating and manifesting good things. And you're just a great,
Thank
great
you.
energy.
Oh,
So
I
I
should also
appreciate
tell
you.
you,
Thank you for being
sorry,
here.
we were talking about like when you
Yeah.
forget something.
No, go ahead.
We also did just build like a mothership showroom. Okay. Meanwhile, I haven't even said anything about it. And like, it's just like a 13,000 square foot showroom. So with like 2,500 square feet
How do we both
devoted to
just,
like
forget to
textiles and
say this?
wallpaper with teams. And that's located in Edison, New Jersey, which is, just so centrally located, right in
Yeah,
the
right in the
middle of the
middle of state.
state.
Yeah.
So please, please, please come by, or Stanford or P-PAC, or whichever way. Anyway,
That's it.
thanks.
That's it. Oh my goodness. Thank you.
I think it's so interesting to notice how each of the family members that have been a part of this company for 75 years have impacted it in their own way, right? It started with Alexis's grandfather and his brothers, and then her aunt took over, followed by a couple years later, her mom. And then her mom transitions it into trade only. And, here we have Alexis now. Each person has impacted this business, has continued in one way you're looking at it, has continued a single thread of a legacy, right? But on another thread, you're seeing the actual additions and iterations that each of them has put upon the business. And I think it's so fascinating. I just love it. And I just think how fun it would be to be able to look at that and look at that history. And so it's also a lot of congratulations are in order. To get a business to live to the second generation is no small joke. Not that I'm talking from experience. So, and I love Alexis's contributions, right? She comes in and she, brings this big thinking, this expansive thinking, where expanding the footprint in Connecticut and then making this beautiful, really comprehensive showroom in Edison. And along with that, she continues what her mom started, which is building those relationships with you, the interior designer, and leans into that. But she also does it with her team and her manufacturers, the vendors, right? And I have so much respect for how Alexis genuinely values these relationships. And we've talked many times on the show about the importance of relationships that you have with everyone involved in your business and the impact it has on your business, okay? Strong relationships produce strong results, and it always comes full circle, all right? Now, Alexis and her team are there to support you and to help you with anything that comes up in the process of resourcing, ordering, delivering, and providing for your clients all of the furniture, lighting, decor that you possibly can imagine that's available through Schwartz Design Showroom, right? They're also there to pick their brains about anything, about, look, they're educated, seasoned professionals. And so they are there to be part of the team, not just order takers, okay? Alexis is committed to adding value to your business, right? The best way Alexis says that she can serve you are through the showroom partnerships, the relationships that she builds with the manufacturers. These are the people who value her business and her loyalty. And so while she's building relationships with you, you can hear it. She's maintaining and building those relationships on the other side, because that's when, we all know what happens. When things go right, it's great. Everything's fine. Everything's easy. But when things are a little tougher and when things are very tough, you need someone to pick up the phone and you need someone to answer. And that's, I think, at the heart of what Alexis is describing. That with multi-generation of relationships there and her continued commitment to nurturing that and to visiting the vendors and the manufacturers, she's established for your behalf this communication channel. I love that. Now, time after time, we see the strongest leaders and the most successful companies. What do? They establish their mission, vision, and values. I mean, do you hear this? It comes up over and over. It's one thing when I ask someone about it and they say, oh yes, Lou, we this, we that, we this. But it's these strong leaders that have very successful companies that it's just part of the way they do business. You heard Alexis in there. Well, my team and my company, I talk to them about my mission and our vision and our values, blah, blah, blah. Like I didn't prompt her. It is part of her culture. And so I want you to also take note of that, because this is how you build a strong company, is you first get very clear for yourself what your mission and your vision and your values are. And then when you do that, it's like we said, even when I say these words to you, I'm like, my God, you've said this so many times, right? But, maybe that one day is the day you're going to hear it differently. And it just gives you that aha moment. Okay. So I'm so grateful for Alexis to be here today. We are good friends. I'm so grateful for your friendship, Alexis. And I just have the most admiration for you, such a strong business leader. And it's just so clear in everything you do. So if you want to reach out to Alexis or to learn more about Schwartz Design Showroom, you can go to schwartz.com. Or Alexis encourages you to email her at alexis@schwartzdesignshowroom.com, or you can DM her at Schwartz Design Showroom on Instagram. I'm like tongue twisting with this stuff, aren't I? Okay, there are the 2 showrooms, one in Connecticut, one in Edison. Lots of places to, ways to visit and see them. And we'll put all the links in the show notes as well so that it's easier to just click on it. And again, high five to you, Alexis. High five for this legacy that you are continuing, and how fun and how amazing to sit there and know that you are really just honoring your parents, your grandparents, in the best way possible by just continuing such an outstanding business. And so thank you for being with me today, Alexis, and thank you for joining us today. I appreciate you. Decide to be excellent.
Thank you for joining me today. This podcast is a production of Luann Nigara, Inc. If you want to know more about me, my books, or Luann University, go to luannnigara.com. And if you are interested in having WindowWorks help you with your next window treatment or awning project in the New York, New Jersey metro area, go to windowworksnj.com to learn more. Have an excellent day.